All right, everybody. Welcome to yet another video. Today, what I need to talk about is I've had to make some changes, and this is going to be to your advantage. Remember, I will never give you less time to do something. In other words, if I give an assignment, I will never make the due date earlier. If anything, I'll give you extensions. Or in this case, I will just flat out cancel something. If you can look over here, now this is a very important announcement. So you'll notice that I have the syllabus up. Now, this is my normal syllabus as far as the assignments go. This is generally what I do for a full face-to-face semester. And I was reminded in a recent email and meeting that I had with my bosses that this semester, sorry, that this semester is actually shorter than a normal fall semester. We've shaved quite a bit of time off of it. And our last day of regular classes is going to be November 16th. Now, y'all don't worry about that. It's the same dates that I have already up, and I'm going to have to update the syllabus right here. If you see where my cursor is, the part that I'm actually hovering above, it says that you're going to have 5 essays this semester. Now, aside from revisions, most of you, as I said, I think only out of all the classes, I only have 2 or 3 people who didn't submit one. And for those of you who have not, those 3 people that have not submitted one, if you are watching this, you have until the 11th to get me your first and final draft. You're not going to have whatever you give me by the 11th is going to be your final draft. You won't have the chance to revise it, so please get something to me. Honestly, 10 points, 50 points, 60 points is a lot better than 0 points. So for those very few people that I'm referring to, if you're watching this, you need to get those to my inbox and my email by the 11th in order for to get any credit for it. But obviously, the overwhelming majority of you that doesn't apply to. However, for those of you who did turn in a first draft and you are doing a revision, I do need your revisions by the 11th or the 10th. If you're in the Tuesday, Thursday class, I need them by the 10th. If you're in Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, I need them by the 11th. And again, to reiterate for the, I don't know how many times I've said this, but whatever your revision, if you turn in a revision and it becomes an A from say a C, then your final grade is an A. I don't average the two. You will get whatever the higher grade is between the two. That's the grade that sticks. Um, so make sure you're working on those, and please read my comments very carefully. They're over in the, I've had 3 or 4 people email me saying they can't see the comments. They're over in the right margin over here. There'll be like a little text box. If you click on the text box, it will not only show you my comment, it will highlight the area in your essay that I am specifically referring to. So it just work like little comic book text boxes, and that's where the comments are. Okay, so sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. So with all that aside, I got a little sidetracked, which I do. Back to the assignments. You will notice that there are 5 essays. Okay, I am going to have to change that. Now, I'm pretty sure almost all of you, if not all of you, I don't like to use absolutes, but almost all of you will be relieved to know that you are only going to have 4 essays this semester, not 5. Once I went back over my calendar and realized that we're losing a significant amount of time that we would normally have had pre this thing going on, uh, you would have had 5. But because of time constraints and me wanting to have adequate time to give you all introductions into what the essays are going to be about, what's expected of them, um, going over some more, grammar, some stuff through the textbook, and basically just having you up to speed and prepared. I don't want to force you to start going into essays that you may or may not be ready for. That's just not fair. I want to give adequate time to explain and go over what you're actually going to be required to do. So what I figured out would be best is, as you can see right here, it says Essay 2 or Assignment 2 Analysis Essay and Assignment 3 Evaluation Essay. So what I've decided to do is basically turn Essay 2 and 3 into an evaluation, simply because the analysis in the past, the analysis essay was just a pure analysis. And I'll go over, that's a tricky word. I'll go over exactly I'll explain it in my terms, what an analysis actually is. Evaluation is much simpler to explain. But you cannot do an evaluation without an analysis. It's just they can't. So in the past, the analysis, you can do an analysis without an evaluation though. However, you cannot do an evaluation without analyzing. Okay, that one it won't work. But you can analyze without evaluating. That's totally, absolutely possible. So my reasoning in the past was to have you do an analysis to get you familiar with analyzing something in a more formal manner. We analyze stuff every single day, but in a more formal manner, and then that would make the evaluation the next logical step. Well, we're going to combine these two steps into one essay. Now, it's not going to, that doesn't mean you're writing a twice as big of an essay. Do not misunderstand me. This is going to have the same 3 to 5 pages as the previous essay, and for essay 2, you will still be allowed to use first person, I, me, my, okay? You will write it from your perspective. I am going to analyze this based on this, that. You will be using that same perspective. However, once we get to essays 3 and 4, the first person is gone. It's taken a hike. No more I, me, and my. We're going to be writing from the third person objective, which I will explain in extremely accurate and boring detail. So for essay 2, you're still okay to be talking from your own perspective. I did this, I saw this, I went here, I went there. Me and my friend, whatever, you're still allowed to use I, me, and my for this second one. But it will be a combination of analyzing and evaluating, because they both go hand in hand. And I guess I'll go back and amend the syllabus and just change essay 2 into evaluation. But I'd rather do it make the announcement on the video, because honestly, how many of you are going to go back and read the syllabus to see if I've changed anything? I wouldn't. If I was a student, there's no way I'd go back. I need to go double check on that syllabus that I didn't really read in too much detail. That would have been pointless and completely ineffective for me to do it that way. So I'd rather just announce it here. Okay, so that's what essay 2 is going to be. And you're still allowed to use the first person perspective. So that said, I'm going to focus more on the analysis side of things in this video. And this is just an introduction, so this is not going to be a full-length video. I'll have a much longer video. Yay, I know you guys are excited about that. I'll have a longer, more in-depth video coming up later this week. But for today, I just want to introduce that Essay 2 and Essay 3 are combining. All right, so that word, analysis, it is kind of a problematic word. So what I'm going to do is open just a new document up and just basically put what I think an analysis is. And I mean, not what I think. This is what it is. I'm not giving you my own opinion. But I could just go to, you know, some stupid website dictionary and, which by the way, y'all, be very careful with like dictionary.com and all. It's okay. It's not great. Dictionary.com is giving you the simplest, most common and basic definition of a term possible. So it's, don't cite it in any of your essays is what I'm saying. Don't, well, according to dictionary.com, this is blah, blah, blah. No, use something better than that. I mean, at least a Webster's or an OED, Oxford English Dictionary. That's like the go-to. But this is just my basic language definition, because analysis can get very, let me make this big enough so that we can see it a little bit bigger. I'll just go with a 20 font. Actually, let's go. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so analysis. Now, what? Oops. I guess I can't spell. Hey, I did win a spelling bee when I was a little kid. 3rd grade. I went for Albuquerque, New Mexico. So anyway, what is analysis? Now, this is like one of those words that everybody knows what it means for the most part. Most adults, most English-speaking adults know what that word means, and even non-English speaking, because it's actually not even English in origin, but it's one of those words that almost everybody knows what it means. Say, hey, what are you trying to analyze? Or don't overanalyze that. People get what you mean, but if you say to someone, well, what actually do you mean? What does analysis mean? Can you define it to me? Well, it means to analyze something. Okay, but the first rule of real, which is another reason why I don't like dictionary.com, the first rule of truly defining a word as a lexicographer, which is people who define words, you don't use the word you're defining in the definition. Now that sounds obvious, but again, if you look at a lot of online dictionaries and even print dictionaries, they'll use the word that's being defined in the definition. If you don't know what the word means, how are you going to figure out what the definition means if they're using the word itself to define it? Do you see that circle of, frankly, circle of idiocy going on there and trying to do that? So what an analysis basically is it's a detailed, and I love this word, it's a detailed examination of basically the parts or pieces. You're breaking something down of something. That's what it is. Parts, pieces, it could be, you could look at parts, whatever little words you want to use here, parts, pieces, structure, you can analyze all this stuff of something. And why would you do this? To explain it to someone else, or for your own reason to understand. So there's a basic, just kind of off the top of my head, this is how I would explain it to y'all if we were in class. You know, what is an analysis? Well, it's when you examine something, you take it apart and you look at the pieces and how each piece contributes to the whole. You look at the parts, the pieces, the structure of something to explain or to understand it better, or to understand it in the first place. But also when you're analyzing something, you're looking at how these individual pieces contribute to the whole. In other words, are they adding? Are they making whatever it is you're analyzing, are they making it better? Are they making it worse? And I'm just being very overly simplistic here, but simple is better in my opinion when you're trying to explain something. It doesn't mean I'm dumbing it down. Don't misunderstand me. I'm simple is better, is what I'm saying. I could overcomplicate it and use a bunch of fancy words that even I don't really know what mean, and some of you won't. That's just me trying. That would just be someone trying to sound smart. And generally, when people do that, they're really probably aren't as smart as they want you to think they are. That's all you're doing. You're taking the whole whatever it is and you're breaking it down, and you're saying, okay, is part A actually doing anything? First of all, is it doing anything? Is it adding? Is it subtracting? Is it improving? Is it harming? What are these little pieces do, and how do they contribute to the whole? Think about with like our devices these days. We have so many like I don't even know where here's my phone. My little phone here. This thing has so many things on, like if I open it up, there's so many little things on this screen, and if I scroll over, there's so many little options and widgets and apps and stuff I've never even opened. They're bloatware that I can't get rid of. They come standard with whoever the provider is and who the maker is. But to me, there's so many things on that phone that are useless to me. And I don't mean useless as in I don't understand them. I mean, I mean literally useless. I do not use them and they're no benefit to me, but they're there. So that would be part of my analysis is what is this thing actually doing? What is this piece? How is it contributing? And in some cases, getting rid of something can make it better, right? Or in other cases, you may have to add something or to improve upon something that's already there. You guys know by now, if you're watching these videos, which it looks like most of you are watching at least some of them and part of them, you know that I'm really big into computers and electronics. So when I look at a new piece of hardware for my PC, I analyze that piece and I use other people, people who do that for a living and people that I trust their opinion and who use the same type of criteria that I would look for to see if I should spend the money and invest in that new piece of hardware if it's going to improve the things that are important to me, if it's going to make the things that are important to me better, and if it's a worthy investment. Does the money that I'm spending on this piece of hardware, is that amount of money going to justify the advantages or the improvements that that new piece of hardware is going to give my PC for what I do with it? I wouldn't buy a piece of hardware that has a feature that I'm not even going to use. For instance, any of y'all who are computer geeks or gamer geeks or whatever know that the new 3000 series RTX cards just came out. I personally had no interest whatsoever in a 20 series card because A, ray tracing isn't in hardly any games and it kills frame rate. It wasn't worth it to me, and that was the only feature that would have been significantly better than what I have now. And since I'm not going to use it and have no real interest in it because it's a new, in my opinion, highly flawed technology that doesn't add much to the experience, it wasn't worth it to me. So through other folks' analysis and my own evaluation of those analyses, which is plural for analysis, I determined I will save my money and wait for the next thing to see if it's worth the investment. And based on what I've seen so far with the new stuff coming out, I made a very, very good decision. And a lot of people who spent a lot of money on the last generation of 2000 series cards are probably a little angry right now because they wasted, in my opinion, wasted a whole lot of money. Uh, so there you go. I just did an analysis and an evaluation in about 3 minutes. So you're breaking it down. Now, many of you have seen, if y'all watch sports or have played sports or do play sports currently, coaches and analysts analyze certain plays and certain events on the field of play to see how effective they are. That's an analysis. Now I'm going to go full screen here for a second, but you should still be able to hear my voice. I'm going to put up an image, okay? Now y'all should be able to see this image right now. This is an image that has been analyzed. And basically, this is a match between the Netherlands and Athens. Okay, this is a UEFA game, I believe. But we have Athens in the yellow and black, and then we have Amsterdam, Netherlands, up here in the red and white. Now, this is an analysis of a play. Now, you can see you have this player right here who is circled, and you have this dotted line at the arrow that is analyzing where he is going to go. Over here, you have the player. I'm assuming this is a right forward. If he's in position, he's a right forward. With the ball right here, you have a defender. This is a fullback most likely, or a midfielder. Uh, looks like he might be attempting a slide tackle. I'm not sure. But if we're looking, now I will tell you that this resulted in a goal. This player right here, as you can see, his right leg is about to do a cross to this arrow right here where this player is moving, where boom, easy goal. And that's what it resulted in, because if we're analyzing why this play worked, look at where the keeper's eyes are. Look at where the defender's eyes are. All of them. Well, his eyes are on the ground. Obviously, he needs to tie his shoe or something. But look at every other defender. Every other defender is on this guy. Nobody's paying attention to him. And then you've got him hanging back right here just in case there is, with this player or this player most likely, in case there is a turnover and the ball goes back into Athens' hands, you've got a guy here who can cover this guy from making a breakaway, right? So basically what this analyst is doing is showing the viewers at home why this play worked. Athens is completely distracted. They're not paying attention to him. They're not paying attention to him. The keeper's not paying attention to him. By the time this ball crosses over here, instead of going for this open net over here, which the goalkeeper could quite easily block that. So instead of just going for over here, he's going to cross right here, total open field. He's off balance because he's going this way. It's going to be really hard for him to switch back over this way. Boom, easy goal. And that's how it worked. So that's a quick analysis of why that goal was scored and why Amsterdam was up a goal at that point. That's what you're doing when you're analyzing. Now, when you get into the evaluation part of it, that's when you're going to make your own judgments. Was this a good thing? Was this a bad thing? Why did this work? Why did this not work if it didn't work? Also, you're going to, when you're evaluating, which I'm going to go into much more detail in the next video, but when you're evaluating, you also have to think, was everything that they had to do to make that happen worth it? In the case of that, and I say soccer, sorry for those of you out there who are diehard footballers, I say soccer. I played it for 20 years, actually made it to the semi-pro level. I always called it soccer. I'm sorry if I don't call it football. I grew up in the US where football was a completely different meaning. But in my opinion, clearly that was worth it because they scored a goal. The effort that they had to put into that play was absolutely worth it. But if you are analyzing something else, let's say if you spent 3.5 hours prepping, and money. Let's say if you spent $75 at the grocery store and you spent 3.5 hours prepping all these ingredients, getting everything ready, and you cooked what you thought was going to be a fantastic meal, and the meal just was absolutely terrible. Now you could analyze where it went wrong. You say, first I did this, this, and this. This was going okay. This was working effectively. However, here's where it broke apart. Here's where the meal went south. when I burned everything, for example. That was in the analysis phase. That's where the trouble started, was when the food started burning. Now, in the evaluation phase, when I'm sitting down to eat dinner with my wife and I serve her this horrible meal and she gets angry that I spent a lot of money and a lot of time making a terrible meal, at the end of the day, my evaluation is going to be, no, this was not worth it. You're going to make a judgment. So that's basically how this next essay is going to work. You're going to take something, you're going to analyze it, and at the end you're going to make a judgment, which will be your evaluation. You're going to make a judgment, is this, and I'm way oversimplifying here, y'all, was this good or was this bad? Was it thumbs up or was it thumbs down? That's basically what you're doing in an analysis evaluation. So the personal experience essay, hopefully that gave you all a chance to relive some great memories, or in the case of some of the essays, for you to further come to a greater understanding of an event that was not good, an event that was not a pleasant memory, and traumatic even. Hopefully that personal experience gave you a chance to dig deeper into these experiences and find and relive them if they were great, or to better understand them and come to grips with the healing process, the mourning process, if you will, if it was a more unfortunate event. So that's how we're moving on. We're going to start analyzing and evaluating, and I will have much more detail concerning the actual assignment in the next video. But I just wanted to introduce and explain that you now only have 4 essays this semester instead of 5. Now, some of you, maybe all of you, I will use an absolute, but I used maybe, so I'm qualifying. Maybe all of you will be clapping your hands, but guess what? 4 essays means that they are worth more points. 5 essays means that if you mess up on one and do really well on the other 4, it's not going to hurt your grade as much. So now that we're reduced to 4 essays, the point value for each essay goes up. So just keep that in mind. But you also will have more time to write better essays. And that said, I'm going to go ahead and stop for today, and just let's keep rolling. Again, I was very pleased with the first essay turnout. Y'all have done a great job so far. Keep it up and keep on. We're rolling right now. No red lights, y'all. Everything's either green or yellow. If you got to slow down, slow down. But we don't want any red lights. Just keep rolling. You'll be rolling at speed limit, or you might be slowing down, but just keep rolling, okay? And I will see y'all next time.